Hello, this is Heath Dweft, and I listen to Raconteurs News every Tuesday night, 8 till 10 on autonomousmedia.net. Making a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? 'Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So what do I do? Just stay and live or go out? Every day is trouble, every day is trouble for me. Is it my voice, or my face, or the clothes that I wear? 'Cause something's getting me noticed in a bad way. I must say, I ain't looking for a shit, but it finds me. Particularly when I'm out driving. Slow down, you know, it's a runabout, mate, not a racetrack. How the fuck did you pass your test? You're a pest, you got my heart beating in my chest. No wonder I'm so irate. Why don't you fucking indicate? I wish I had a shit gun ferret at your window, bitch. Making a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? 'Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So what do I do? Just stay and live or go out? Every day is trouble, every day is trouble for me. So I drive and get my shit done quick. Don't wanna waste too much time on the streets with the pricks. I know they're gonna take my energy. Give me road rage, then I commit a felony. Score some weed, then I drive home readily. Hang my car keys up and calm down steadily. Lays on my mind when I let them get at me. Load up on some roller J, get stone, write a melody. Start getting high, having less of the hunches. Put it on hold while I answer the munchies. Get about a big spell, I'm grinding the bunches. Really need to learn just to roll with the punches.
Algún día me perdonan, aquí te estaré esperando, porque yo era muy feliz cuando tú abrías los ojos. Andaba por la noche y andaba muy perdido, me faltaban que tus ojos me mostraran el camino, caminar, porque yo era muy feliz cuando tú abrías los ojos.
Making a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? 'Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So what do I do? Just stay and live or go out? Every day is trouble, every day is trouble for me. Every day is trouble, every day is trouble. Making a goddamn nuisance of myself, poking my nose in everybody's business. Oh God, will I ever learn? 'Cause it always backfires on me. I can't control myself no more. So what do I do? Just stay and live or go out? Every day is trouble, 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 every day is trouble for me.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. It is Tuesday, as usual. It's the 14th of March. Where is this year going? I mean, it's 3 months in already. We're already booked up till May with guests. And so we've almost got halfway through the year with guests. Big thank you to Heath. That was the new introduction song that we've been playing tonight. It's Heath's song. It's called Honky Tonk Road Rage, and by Heath Dweft. And thanks for that, Heath. I sent him a great video earlier on that I did to go with that, but I think that's going to have to stay between me and him. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's Tuesday. It's the 14th of March, and as usual, there are two of us here tonight. Not just me. I'm Jason Holmes. We've got Andy Young as well. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Jason. Having a thoroughly fascinating week. Just the people we seem to be making contact with just phenomenal. I mean, that call we had today earlier with Pete Robbins, something pretty promising going to come from that. Well, we know there is. Be able to reveal details as we get a bit closer. Some of the people I met up with at the weekend, I mean, we went to the meeting at Nottingham this weekend, and one guy who stood out from the crowd was a gentleman by the name of Charles Irons. And you may have read about him in the press because he's the guy who took his muck spreader for a ride round to Derby Court and emptied the contents on the steps of the court. And he stood up and gave us a talk for a few minutes there. And a fascinating guy, and he does a lot of different things to help people out. So hopefully we'll be getting him on very soon to talk to Aid and maybe to talk to us and who knows what else down the pipeline. But
yeah, and of course, Aid had a great show as well last night, didn't he, on Raconteurs too? I know he goes before us in the week, but he's Raconteurs too. So he had a great show last night with Paul Webster. It was superb. And of course, we always like to get decent comments in from people. So I just what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with our audience a comment that I got on the YouTube channel today. And it's always nice when somebody compliments you. So we got a comment on the John Irwin interview that if anybody's listening will remember the John Irwin interview where me and him sort of disagreed just slightly a tad. And we got a comment on my YouTube channel today, and it said, sadly, one of the hosts, Jason Holmes, that's me, by the way, is a moron. Almost impossible to listen whenever he opens his ignorant loud trap, lol. And I've got to say, thank you very much for that. At least you're taking notice. We've got a great guest tonight, haven't we?
Yes, we have. This is a gentleman who's been on before talking about his battle with his mortgage, and he's got some updates. So welcome back, Mike Grant Sinclair. Hi, Mike.
Hi, good evening. Hi, yeah, all right, thanks very much. Should we start from the beginning?
If we could just do a brief recap on what we covered in the first show so that folks who haven't heard that know where we are, and then we can go into the new stuff, Mike. Yeah,
as you maybe remember, we had our home repossessed in 2015 by a fraud court, the Luton County Court by District Judge Sims, and then Judge Hayhill. Both bogus judges. None of them are registered at the Luton County Court to hear cases, which I'll come on to a bit later on. We had the bailiffs round. They had no warrant. 15 police came. I had about, 12 people there helping me, which I didn't know at all. Turned up on the morning. When the police report came back, there was 30 people there, all being threatening and disrespectful to the police and causing absolute mayhem. But the videos, if you go on YouTube and have a look, they did absolutely nothing like it at all. All they kept on saying is, where's the warrant? And there was no warrant, which we'll come back to a bit later on. They repossessed the house, boarded it all up. We left it until, I think it was about 4 months later. We repossessed the house. We went back in, through the door. Didn't have to break any locks or anything else. Started taking the shutters off the doors and off the windows. Police turned up, arrested us, kept us in prison for 24 hours, 36 hours in total. Repossessed the car, took the car to Toddington, released me at 12 o'clock on a Sunday night. So I had to get a travel pass from them and money to get home because I had none. No cards, no nothing. Kept my phone. Subsequently made a complaint that they found that they've done nothing wrong and usual shit that, no one does anything wrong. We're all the criminals. They kept the house for nearly 11 months empty, sold it through an estate agent, and we knew nothing about it. There is a shortfall of 12, nearly 13,000, which surprisingly, they've not come after us for it, because that means going back to court. And the whole bag of worms will open up. Now, since then, we've been progressing with the court themselves. We've had a meeting with one of the chief area officers about the paperwork that they allege is on the court. The first thing that sprang to mind was we said, okay, can we see the warrant? Off he trots. There is no warrant. Comes back, says, oh, it's dealt with by the solicitors. I said, okay, all right, well, what did the solicitors send you for you to instruct the bailiff? Oh, off he trots again. And Mr. Carmichael comes back and says, oh, this is what they've given us. The first thing I notice, A, it's the wrong people as the claimant. It's got the firm of solicitors as the claimant. And then on the second piece of paper, it's got the Yorkshire Building Society. So I said, oh, can I have copies of these? Oh, we charge you. The first one is £10, and then the second one after that is 50p. I said, fine, give me your copies. So he goes off, copies them, and gives them back to me. And I said, oh, can you just sign and stamp them to say that they're originals? Because I don't want, you to turn around and say that they're not what you've given me. So he stamps them as being an originals and signs them and gives them back to me.
Yeah.
It's then that I inform him, A, that the claimant isn't Optima legal, and secondly, on the other document, the claimant you've got as Yorkshire Building Society. Yeah, that's right. They're the right people. I said, no. My mortgage was with a group of crooks called Accord Mortgages. And all your paperwork with your court references on it is all Accord Mortgages. So who are these people? Oh, I don't know. I can't get into it. I have to take it further. So we've left him to do his little burying. But we've then subsequently sent off to the land registry. And we got some information back from them. When we first went there was only 4 pieces of paper on our file. No TR forms, no AP1 forms, nothing. It's just us buying the property with a letter from our conveyancing solicitor, and that was it. So he goes off and checks, comes back, and he's got the people that are supposed to be entitled to the property as Yorkshire Building Society. Now, we bought our property for 225. We put 160 in.
Whereabouts geographically is this?
This is in Luton. But this
Luton.
is the Peterborough. Yeah, we went to the Peterborough office, which is our main area. They're our main land registry division.
Yeah.
When we go there, the guy says to us, well, they're entitled to do it again. And all they've got is the letter from the Building Society. No court papers, no affidavits or anything else. But the interesting thing he said is, but you've given them authority to do this. I said, oh, how? Well, you signed your power of attorney when you took your mortgage out. I said, oh, did we? Can you tell me then why in 2013 we withdrew our power of attorney for them to act for us? Oh, well, if we had known about that, we could have stopped it. The interesting point is, as I said to Mr. Mitchell, you signed the document in 2013 and give me a copy back of us revoking our power of attorney. I don't remember doing that. I said, well, there's your signature. And there's the registry stamp. I said, not only that, I had a witness sitting there with me when I presented these papers to you.
Who did you supposedly hand your power of attorney over to?
The land registry.
To the land registry. So that's a conflict of interest from the very start, isn't it?
Oh, it is. But also Yorkshire Building Society, or Accord Mortgages, also had a copy of that revocation, and the court did. So we've got a copy from the court stamped, and we've also got a letter confirming that from Accord Mortgages, stating that under our terms and conditions, we're not allowed to revoke our power of attorney. So I wrote back to them, as Michael Benacia has done, and said, well, can you show me all the other documents that are supposed to be portraying to a power of attorney? Because you just saying that we give you power of attorney is not an act of power of attorney, I'm afraid, under the Power of Attorney Act. Mm-hmm. So they then said, okay, well, we'll look at that. And then we then went to onto the actual sale documents, and there's nothing registered. Now, if I sold my house as an estate agent to Andy Young, he would have to register what I paid for it, what I got for it, and when he purchased it. Now, we've looked at 3 other repossessions that we know of, and not one of those is registered on the land registry. Now, why is that?
Yeah, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? It seems to be that mortgages are just fraud from start to finish, doesn't it?
The fraud goes deeper, because now we're pursuing a claim against the land registry. And I think someone has, when we had our case against the property chamber, we had the case there where they sold their mortgages, were paid in full. The sale agreement is a sale agreement. It's not an agreement to hang the washing out or anything else. It specifically says the purchaser, i.e. the bondholders, purchases those mortgages for a fixed amount. Now, what we've turned around and said to the land registry is, how on earth can they give back something which they know nothing about? You're talking of hundreds of thousands of mortgages that have been sold. Now, what one goes with what bond? They don't know. And I said, that is your problem. That is why you cannot register our old property, because you don't know which bond holds it. They can't redeem that mortgage. So that mortgage stays out there forever. So we've now given them another 2 weeks to come up with some answers. Like Michael Benacia, we will pursue a claim against their insurance company. Yeah. And they realise that loads and loads of people are going to claim against their insurance. And that is why they couldn't sell it. Because no insurance company would insure them. Right. Now, we are who the bondholder or the stakeholders of the land registry are. Do you know who they are? Anybody?
No idea.
No. Can you tell us?
Well, you have a look at all their bumps. It says, we act on behalf of our stakeholders. So I asked the question, who are your stakeholders? We've never had a reply.
Really?
But their bump all says, we act on... Now, I think the stakeholders are all the mortgage companies. They're the ones that actually now own the land registry. So we're also pursuing a claim on the stock exchange, because the last sale that Yorkshire Building Society have done is for nearly £130 million. Now, when they do these sales, they have to register a prospectus with the stock exchange. And it's strange that now the London Stock Exchange won't deal with them. They're all done in Ireland.
Right, that's a bit strange.
Well, they've now transferred them all to Ireland, but for those mortgages, they have to list the amount that they're going to give. 6,145. Someone's got a lot of mortgages, haven't they? For £130 million, something's not right.
Yeah.
So how does it work that they can raise that type of capital? Even if you take, say, 6,000 mortgages, at the most £300,000, not going to come to that figure anywhere near it. So who are they lying to? Now, we've been back to court and we've said, can you show me anywhere in these documents I am wrong? And just off the cuff remark is that they're entitled to do it because they're still registered on the land registry. Now, if we look at that logically, if they've sold it, they're not entitled to be registered on the land registry. They have to be removed from the land registry. And the bondholders, or the group of bondholders, have to be registered as the legal owner of that mortgage. Not one has ever been registered in any company. It's all a big scam and tax fiddle, because they would have to register each charge separately. So the land registry are being conned out of a load of fees.
How are these arguments and these points that you're bringing forward, how are they being received and how are they being dealt with? You know, when you say, can you prove this, that and the other, what are you being railroaded? Are you being
we've been
gaslighted?
Totally railroaded. It's always comes back. The last Lord Justice Tenney is the last one. He's turned around and said that this is totally without merit. So we asked him the 5 magic questions. What did the bondholders buy for their money? What does the sale agreement say, i.e. when it says with full title guarantee, all rights, benefits and interest? So what did they get? And his answer was, I'm not going to go into it, it's without merit. Now, if that's not a corrupt, deceitful judge, then I'm a cloud cuckoo man.
But the tables have been turned, haven't they? Because they can say that it's without merit, without giving any particular reason. Yeah, much as in the case of when somebody makes a claim and somebody, a defendant will have making an application to have it struck out, a defence struck out. So if a claimant's claiming something against you and you make a defence, instead of the judge and the courts then deciding on that issue, all they do is the claimants make a proposal for your defence to be struck out, and that's it. You're gone and it's done.
Yeah, but you see, that is what we turned around and said to Justice Tenney. Why can't you sit there and tell us why it's without merit? That is natural justice.
Mhm.
That is justice to be seen to be done. What you're saying is, I'm not going to go into it because it will open up a can of worms. Now, when we went to the property chamber, I had all the sale documents with four other people. We never give them into the court. We waited until that morning and we took them in. It was already a foregone conclusion of how that case was going to go before we even had it. But because I took those documents in that morning, and it was a massive 4 files, it wasn't a little file, it was a big thick folder files. The judge turned round and we had her on tape. My God, if I rule in these people's favour, you know what's going to happen to the mortgage market? It's got collapse overnight. You understand, Mr. Tedby? Now, we have her on tape, Anne McAllister saying that. And yet, she did a 42-paragraph load of rubbish about what are merits of our case. 2 lines on the securitisation saying that it doesn't matter. Now, those documents, and I urge anybody to go onto the stock exchange, look for their company on the stock exchange, and they will find that every single one has sold their mortgage. And when these bondholders buy these bonds, they're buying your mortgage. Because we've had it in a court up north where we called the chairman of the company, works for an accountancy firm, and the guy lied under oath. And the barrister turned around and said it doesn't matter whether they've sold it, given it away to Father Christmas or whatever. We're still registered on the land registry. Now,
fraudulently registered on the land registry. Surely that's
actually
self-evident.
In the property tribunal, this judge, Anne McAllister, took 15 minutes, and it's all on tape, 15 minutes to argue that if someone has, and it says it in the Land Registry Act, if someone sells or transfers their charge, it must be registered at the land registry. But 2 things. A, they can't register their charge because they're way out of time. And secondly, they would have to pay a fee. Now, if you've got hundreds of thousands of mortgages and you've got to pay £120 for each one that you've got to register again, how much money are you going to make?
It's about 10 million quid, that, innit, paying out?
Yeah. And they're not going to do that. So they fraudulently...
So do you think they're in cahoots? Do you know the people that have taken over the land registry, and do you think there's some sort of deal going on where they don't have to? Because we get this quite a lot, where there's people that are companies that apply for warrants and things like that to gain entry to your house or things like that, and they're supposed to pay a fee, but there's never any fee.
They never pay a fee.
I think that the two are connected.
I tell you without a shadow of a doubt, they are connected. First of all, it starts off with a proper, legally qualified judge hearing your case. And once you find out things like we did, we went before an honourable judge, the only one I've met in County Court, District Judge White, who made the order on the 23rd of June 2013. That an officer of the claimant company, i.e. are called mortgages, and make no bones about it, it's got to be an officer of the company, i.e. means the director, to make an affidavit that they still own our mortgage. To this day, and now this minute, we have never had that.
But how's that being reinforced? I mean, is there any...
Oh, yeah, we've asked for it.
Yeah, I know, asking for it, yeah, I mean, that's fine, but obviously you've asked and they're not giving it you. Is there any remedy that you can apply to a court in order for them to force them, essentially, to do this? Otherwise, they'll reverse it. And again, I know we're playing on an uneven playing field and the goalposts are moved at every opportunity. But is there any way for you to do that?
No, none whatsoever. You get back that it's without merit and it doesn't matter. The claimant is here. The claimants never ever come to court. We summoned the witness, summoned the director Ian Bullock to court. He has never ever shown up, and the judges, because they're in the pockets of the company, never ever enforce it. We had District Judge Sims, where we told him he has no jurisdiction, he has no way to hear this matter because he's not even registered at that court. It just brushed aside, and they make an application straight away. I'll just get a bit of paper. Hang on.
Sure, mate.
Good radio.
Oh,
You've got to get a piece of paper. What do you reckon, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Excellent,
I mean, this story we're hearing from you, Mike, it must be so frustrating because we hear this from so many different people. They're just being ignored, steamrolled, trampled over. And the courts are just ignoring their own rules just to walk all over people, basically.
Well, they're imposing their own rules on the defendants, but they're not imposing them on the claimants at all. Now, I suppose, like I think what Paul Webster was saying last night, is you need to turn the tables and become the claimant, because then you're in a position of power. I don't know if Mike's got an opinion on that, or whether he heard the show last night. Or whether he's got any experience of becoming the claimant. But I think we've heard that from Paul Webster. We also heard it from Guy Taylor as well. Yeah. That people need to become the claimant and forget about getting into these court cases and trying to defend themselves, but actually going into the courts and being on the attack.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, mate.
Right. Should we continue?
Yeah, sure.
Right. On the 15th of December, we went before District Judge Simmons, or Simpson, or Simmons, because no one can remember his name at Luton County Court. And the question we put to him, why haven't you acted on the witness summons that was issued by the court to get Ian Bullock into court? That's irrelevant, he said here. We then said, well, you're not registered to hear this case in this court, because we have a list from the Justice Department of all the judges registered at the court, and you're not registered here. Can you explain?
Checkmate, really, that, isn't it? It would be, it should be.
Yeah. The judge was off sick, so they brought me in. So I said, well, okay, who was the judge that it was before? I don't know. I don't have that information.
He must have been sworn in if he's a judge. He must have been sworn in.
When you go before a court, and I would stress anybody does this, you can go online and get a list of judges that are sworn in by the Queen to hear cases in that court, because all the judges are under the jurisdiction of the Queen.
Yeah.
Right.
So the next letter this weekend is going off to the Queen and asking her what the hell is going on. Because not only is it Sims, there's a Judge Abbott that we went before who made an order because their claim was 6 years and 11 months out of time, doesn't matter. We just do the case as it is. Abbott is not even registered at the court.
It's unreal, isn't it?
But the document that they come back and do the judgment in is in the name of this District Judge White. So I was in, as I say, in December. I saw District Judge White in the corridor. And I said to him, and I will say it, you're a nice one, aren't you? You're getting me having hearings before you that you're not even there. I don't know what you're talking about. And I said to him, well, I came to you on the 15th of December. And he said, no, you didn't. I wasn't even in the court in December. I said, well, I've got the order signed by you. Oh, have you? We'll see about it. And he turned round in the corridor and went back up to the 5th floor, is where all the administration is. So maybe he's kicked a few heads up there, because there was absolutely no way that we saw District Judge White in December. Yet we got the order as being by him. But the crafty little buggers turned around and said, well, you must have seen him. I said, that's very strange. Abbott, in his eagerness to do his order, wrote it out to us by hand and signed it, and we've got the order. So they are so corrupt in Luton County Court, it is unbelievable.
And I think that spreads nationwide, doesn't it?
Every court,
Yeah.
I would really stress anybody that's got a repossession claim, go on to the government's own website, and they will get a list of all the judges that are sworn to hear cases in that court, be it all the county courts. And you will see that judges that are only listed to hear your case. And we've had it back from the Justice Department in Victoria that list is an up-to-date list for the County Court Service. And if your judge is not on that list, then you must make yourself fully aware to him that you had that list, and that he's not or she's not listed to hear cases in that court, because they have no jurisdiction. So we're now, we did a credit check. We're now £13,000 in debt to Accord Mortgages. So why aren't they banging on our door?
Well, have they not claimed on the insurance policy?
They claimed the whole amount on the insurance policy. Don't think it's just a shortfall. When that mortgage goes 90 days in delinquency, the insurance policy pays out. The bonds are, it says it in the prospectus, the bonds are insured through an intermediary company. So as soon as you delinquent on your mortgage of 90 days, that is it.
That insurance is triggered. So therefore, your mortgage is paid off. It's a little bit like what Webby was saying last night. That, you know, what they do is after 90 days of delinquency, the mortgage is then paid off with the insurance. So why are they then coming after the property? It's just pure criminal. It's racketeering.
It's dirty money. I promise you, the reason that this doesn't get the same, if you look at everywhere else in the world, America, South Africa, Ireland, they're winning these cases. In America, in Orange County, there has not been another repossession for over a year.
Wow.
Because they're now questioning where this money comes from. Who the hell has got £130 million to invest? What company? There's no companies. This is dirty money. This is drugs money. Because after so many years, they can cash these bonds in and get their money back. So what does it come back as?
Nice, clean cash.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Now,
And anything they get off you is a bonus.
Well, you're paying for it. You're paying for the company to still operate. Because all the bond money and all the money for the mortgages that they've got is kept in a separate account. That doesn't go back to the... If you look at Yorkshire Building Society, they've got none of this money going back into their accounts. Accord Mortgages owes £139 billion to Yorkshire Building Society. So how does that work?
Well, I think if I was Yorkshire Building Society, but I'd be saying to Mr. Accord Mortgages, come on, let's be squaring a bit of this up somewhere.
Yeah. You look at their accounts, their latest filed accounts, there are so much debt on the books, you and I would be declared bankrupt. Our company would be insolvent. But it's a channeling organisation. They get the mortgages, package them all up, and Yorkshire Building Society sells them on the stock exchange. And they get the money and then pass it to the holding company. And then in 5 or 6 years' time, it's all released back into, shall we say, a nice cartel's pockets. Because there's not a single company that I can imagine that would throw money at these mortgages. So why has Yorkshire Building Society been so interested in making itself so big? Publicity on the telly, in the newspapers, come bring a mortgage to us or get a new mortgage from us. Because if they're so big, it's like all the others that went into financial difficulties. If someone rocks the boat and it all collapses, they'd be too big to collapse.
It also sort of makes it plain and simple as to why these companies are always trying to get you to exchange your mortgage from the one that you've got to another one, because then the existing mortgage would still be there, and all the trappings that go with that, you know, the securitization and everything. But yet you've done it again. You've sort of remortgaged and got a whole new. You've sort of doubled their money.
Well, yeah, it's as I said to you, your mortgage is still live. When it's sold, they can't get that mortgage back. When it's securitized, they can't get that mortgage back. They have no way of knowing who's got your mortgage. So nothing could be registered. When they sell your house, they can't register the sale price or anything else because there's still a mortgage out there. So that one's not cleared off, and your mortgage restarts with so much money. They've got no way of clearing the books. They cannot redeem your mortgage. And that is the problem. That is where the crux of this is because, I mean, there was a very good film called The Big Shot. And I recommend anybody to get it and look at it. And it shows you the pyramid. Because all this is a pyramid game. Especially, I mean, I can only really talk about Yorkshire Building Society because that's the one I've dug into the most. But Bradford and Bingley are the same. Santander are the same. They rob Peter to pay Paul. They have all these mortgages that have got to be, or the bonds that have got to be repaid. Now, with the called mortgages, it was 2015. Well, if you look back through the accounts, come 2013, the warning bells were ringing because they hadn't got the money to pay those bonds. So what did they do? They reissued again. But the amounts of numbers that they've reissued are 5,000, 3,000, 4,000 mortgages. But they're getting £130 million. The last count was £132 billion. Now you're talking about, should we say, a company coming up against Harrods. You're saying like the corner shop against Harrods. Where on earth would they get in the mortgages to get £132 billion?
Yes, it would seem that they got one of those magical accounting pens.
If you look at the companies, the accountants, if you look at the Big Shop film, Moody's, Finch's were the rating companies. And she says, and she admits in that film, if they didn't give them a 5-star rating, they would go to Moody's. Right. So Finch's would give them a 5-star rating. Doesn't matter whether it was all dog shit. They would give them a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
The accountancy companies would do the same. No one has gone to the accounts of these companies. We had someone look at the accounts of Accord mortgages from 2013 to 2015. The company was insolvent. It registers no employees, no liabilities, and has no staff.
There's something very strange going on there, Mike.
Well, yeah, you take it. You said it, you know. And to me, when we bring these questions up, they daren't answer them. When we went into court, these are all the questions, and we have it all on tape, that we have never, ever got an answer to. Now, why is that? It's always coming back without merit. So when we turn around to the line Tracy or Tatesy or whatever he bloody wants to call himself with his stupid bloody gown, why can't you answer the questions? Irrelevant. But they can't tell you why it's irrelevant. Now, that's the honesty that we want back in this country, where these judges are held to account.
It seems like, though, Mike, sorry to interrupt you, but it seems like that we've got a shortage of honest people in this country, haven't we? We've got such a shortage of honest people that the dishonest are being rewarded and being put into positions where they'll be able to buy a big feathery hat and a ton of bananas and and cucumber and sausages and then what do we do? Do we have to how do we make people more honest?
I think we've got to take the judiciary back. It's gone into corporate business now, and that's what they're there to protect. The likes of you and me, because we're so quiet, because we're so timid, and we're looking to get from one day to the next, that's how they control us. I've gone in, as I say, we went up to this hearing, and the two people that were summoned there, one was the director of the accountancy company that is now, well, it's Pricewaterhouse. We got him into the stand. He lied through his teeth. The judge knew that and admitted that he's lied through his teeth. A girl from the administration of the company of Southern Mortgages. Well, it's not Southern Mortgages anymore. It's now a company that was in High Wycombe. The name begins with an A. It slips me at the moment. She didn't know what to say. She just got herself so wound up and misinforming everybody that the judge had to stop it. And yet they still ruled in their favour, but never answered any of the questions. Now, what do we do?
This is where they're hiding behind legislation. You see, the legislation comes in that they can make a ruling like that. So what we have to do is we have to bypass the regulation and turn into the claimant. So what we're doing is then taking the people to court who are making these terrible decisions.
Well, we tried to do a private prosecution, and it never got anywhere. It was sent back as saying that, again, it's without merit. So what avenue or what chance do we do? The only way to do is, it sounds really drastic, and, I've been called a domestic terrorist, so I might as well act the part now. Because the last judge turned around and said that, well, no, not the judge, beg your pardon. It was the firm of solicitors Optima Legal, who never ever once turned up in court themselves. They always sent an agent, so they didn't have to lie themselves and get dragged through the court, because they use paralegals all the time. And their solicitor turned around and said I was, according to the FBI, a domestic terrorist. Now, what the FBI's got to do with it is beyond me, but there we go. And he did a witness statement, and taken into mind he never attended the court once, was total lies and fabrication, and he knew it. The court knew it and didn't accept his witness statement. We can only now turn around and have all these hearings before a jury. That is the only way that I can see us ever getting any justice, because there's not any honest judges.
No.
And I would suggest, if people have got Yorkshire Building Society mortgages, let's see. They did it in the States. Let's see what would happen. Everybody stopped paying their mortgage to them, put it into a separate building account or to a separate savings account.
Or even under your mattress, that'd be safer, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be, yeah, because then the banks can't do their own little schemes and get it back themselves. Yeah. But don't spend it, don't use it for anything else, but keep it separate, quietly, and say, you prove that you own my mortgage, and I will pay you happily. That's all they've got to say, and stop it for 3 months. And let's see what happens in any of the companies. Santander, Bradford and Bingley, all of them, they're all the same, and see what happens, because we are being robbed blind. There is absolutely no need for your mortgage to be as high as it is.
But Mike, we're coming to a point where more and more people are getting sucked into this, and more people are going to be looking for alternatives and alternative information to be able to get themselves out of this. And so we are going to get to a tipping point at some point where they can't keep doing it, because the amount of people that are entering the courts. How far away do you think we are from that tipping point?
I think by the end of the year. I think they know it themselves. That is why the Yorkshire Building Society are advertising like mad now. They're putting the bricks into place now. David Cameron didn't resign just for Brexit. Do you honestly believe that? He was on a gravy train. Now, the company that own Optima Legal is a company called Capita. Who owns Capita?
Is it DARPA?
No.
Who owns Capita? Go on, who owns Capita? Tell us.
It's the David Cameron Trust. It's the Carol Fletcher or Fincher Trust that own it. And who owns that trust? The Cameron family.
Wow.
Why do you think it's been so eager for Capita to get their fingers in everything?
Oh, I wish I'd kicked him in knackers now when I saw him other Monday.
Well, I tell you what, the guy knows what's coming. That's why he's gone. What do you think the directors of Ian Bullock, Christopher Parrish, have all left because they know the shit's going to hit the fan?
Mm-hmm.
And when it does, we're not going to be holding the baby.
No.
You know, these guys have milked the train dry.
Yeah.
There is nothing left now. So basically, they're covering their own arse to get out.
But there's always other minions that are in there that are trying to, you know.
They think it's clever. You know, let's have a new Jag and, you know, we'll get a nice office in Yorkshire, you know, and they think that's the be end all. You know, I'm 63 years old. I've been it, done it, and got the T-shirt.
I've got to say, though, Yorkshire is the be-all and end-all.
No, it's nice. No, don't get me wrong. It's nice country and it's nice people. But once they dangle that carrot in front of you, you're chumping at it like a flaming donkey. And that is how they get these people to act for them.
Yeah.
You know, as we've said, and we've said all along, the documents are out there. Anybody can prove me wrong. I welcome it. I'll be the first one down there buying the drinks.
Nice one, Mike.
For 7 years, no one has ever been able to tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. Okay,
When
that's some brilliant information there that we've just about rounded off the first hour,
Yeah.
Mike. So how's about we throw on a quick tune so we can all have a quick refreshment break, and we'll be back for the second hour. Do stay tuned, by the way, because coming up after us at 10 p.m. is Not Dr. Tamara and T.
Hello, this is Andrew Johnson, and you're listening to Raconteurs News.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News this Tuesday evening, where we've been joined by Mike Grant Sinclair, and we just had a break there with the jam playing in the background. And welcome back, Mike.
Yeah.
And welcome back,
I think
Jason.
you might still be making a cup of tea.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Mike.
Yeah, no, I'll get someone else to make my tea. Right. I mean, to understand the mortgage sale agreements, and as the judge in Burnley picked up on, they say sale agreement. They don't say anything else like securitisation or we're only going to sell you this much or we're going to sell you this. They say sale agreement. And that's when the barrister said, well, it doesn't matter because they could give them away. They can give them to Father Christmas. But they still are registered on the land registry. And that is the only way that they can act. So we need to get hold of the land registry and say, why aren't you dealing, like we are doing, with your own Land Registration Act?
Well, but surely the land registry's just been privatised, hasn't it? So if the land registry's been privatised, it's going to be owned by the same people that are producing these mortgages.
No, it's not gone. The sale hasn't gone through.
Has it not gone through yet? I thought he had.
No.
Okay. But I mean, if the land registry does become privatised, then well, the same point as I said before, the same people that are producing the mortgages are going to be the same people that have got an interest in the land registry.
Well, no, they can't. They can't change it because who's going to insure the company against all these claims? That was their main problem.
What I'm saying though is that at this particular moment in time, what they're doing is they're trying to privatise the land registry. So the same people that have got interest in the mortgages will have interest in the land registry. So therefore, anything they say will just get put through. So it's just really just being privatised, and we're all just being screwed over.
Where one of two or three people or five go and do it, they just brush you away and squat you like flies. Mm-hmm. You get 100, you get 500 people doing it. That's all a different kettle of fish. And that is their main downfall, is because people are beginning to pick up on this. But if they're able to have jurisdiction over the land registry and not it's not exactly what the rules are or what the laws are, but what they're going to do, what they'll actually do themselves, because we know these corporations go above and beyond the law and interpret it in their own way, and then it's up to the small person that's got nothing to sue them. So they don't stick to their own laws. So if you've got the land registry and you've got the mortgages and that are privatised, you've got the land registry that's privatised, and then you've got the judiciary, which is in the pay of both of those things, then you're going to, it doesn't matter how many you get, because all they'll do is they'll just say, well, no, and just and leave it on the back. All I'm doing is playing devil's advocate, really. Devil's advocate. But what I'm saying is, where it's only one or two people doing it, they can put without merit. But you get a class action and you get 500 people doing a claim.
Are there any figures on how many people are doing this?
There isn't at the moment. The last count for repossessions last year, I think it was 80,000.
80,000 repossessions.
Yeah.
And of those, probably a fraction would have been challenged.
Yeah, but I can understand where that comes from, because the stigma of it, and you know, people not being clued into what's going on or being able to find paperwork, then, you know, you're not going to get them doing it. That's why I say come April or the beginning of May, we're going to be holding a seminar.
Hey, listen, Mike, I'm not dissipating anything that you're doing at all. I absolutely applaud you. But all I'm just saying is that I just wondered if there was any figures on how many people were actually challenging these repossessions at the moment rather than just accepting them. You said there were 80,000 repossessions.
Yeah.
Of that, how many would you say would have been challenged in the same way that you do it? And how far are we away from the tipping point when, when it's all going to fall over because there's just too many?
I think off the top of my head, the last figures I got from the Justice Department, those that were, should we say, trying to put in a counterclaim was about 10 to 11,000 around the country. But having said that, I don't know on what basis those claims were doing.
Well, at least they're doing something, though. So that's like around about 15%, in it? It's around about 15%. What sort of percentage would you think that would need before the whole thing just came falling down?
I would say 10% of that. I tell you, in all honesty, how quickly it happened in America. They stopped paying their mortgage for 2 months. And the amount of Chapter 11s that went into the court from companies protecting their interests was astronomical.
Yeah, it's a protection from bankruptcy, that in American law, isn't it?
Yeah, but you see, unlike us, if the company doesn't pay its bills, First Alliance was the first. They couldn't pay the bondholders for that month. So automatically, as it is written into our sale agreements, they have to file for insolvency. So they had to file that, which then brought the company into liquidation. So they had to file a Chapter 11 to keep themselves going. And that was the start of it. Now, you take it, how many would it take for that to happen here? If the mortgage companies, how much do you reckon they've got in reserves to pay the bondholders? Because they have to pay them every month. If you look at the figures that they have to pay out to the bondholders, it's like 3/4 of what they get.
So, would you suggest that the bondholder contracts are the root of the problem?
Oh yeah, because if you take it, like you said, our mortgages are sold, so the company's already been paid for our mortgage. So our mortgage is owned by a third party. Your mortgage that you have, say, just for argument's sake, is 300,000. 25 years, you would have paid back 600,000. Why? It's your note. It's your security that they've used to get their money. So why doesn't the companies be honest and say, right, we'll sell it for the first time. That goes to us. But the second and third time, and in my case, the 6th time that they've sold my mortgage, why don't they pay that to me? It's my note. It's my security that they're selling. They haven't got anything else.
From what you're saying, at some point it's going to all implode. The whole thing's going to implode. Now, what would you suggest a remedy might be to avoid that something perhaps the banks could concede, some concessions they could make, the banks against people's mortgages. And what would you think that would need to happen before so that they could make it not implode?
Cut the greed. That'd be the first thing. Because all this is generated by is greed. Nothing else. Because they're getting a bonus. They're getting a big kickback. So every time that they sell it, they get a percentage of what it's sold for. So the greed behind it is what's fueling it. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I would bring some more honesty and transparency into mortgages. Because what are mortgages really? They're just a glorified rental scheme. Yeah. Nothing else. You know, at the end of the day, they turn around and say, oh, well, you got your mortgage for 25 years. But come the, say, 6th or the 10th year of your mortgage, you've got to remortgage again. You don't stay with the same company again. And then they're getting more money out of you. It goes up to another fees. So, you know, when they were real building societies, they couldn't lend the money until they had it. When we all went into the building societies with our little passbooks and put our 10, 15 quid a week into our savings account, that's the money they lent. The money they're lending now, they don't have.
No.
Where did they get it from?
It's magic, isn't it?
Well, that's it. That's what I say. You know, they've got different calculators to us. It's not computer generated. You know, it's the money's coming from somewhere because they've got to transfer it from one account to another. And you have a look at all these, and they're all in Cayman Islands or Barbados or, you know, somewhere no one can go and have a look at the accounts. Now, why? We're English companies. Now, they haven't paid tax on any of this.
Yeah. Look, I keep referring back to Webby last night, Paul Webster, on Raconteurs 2 with Aid Hardy, Monday night, 7 till 9. Just give him a little bit of a plug there. But yeah, he did say that the best way to deal with a judge, and I suppose this is the best way that as a society we could deal with the bankers and the banking system is to give them an out. Now, what would the out be in your opinion? What could they offer us and say to us that we give them an out, and then this at least part of the system keeps moving along?
As I said, transparency and treat people honestly. You know, turn around and say, well, your mortgage is this. Your mortgage should be, say, 1%, 5% of what you borrowed. And you only pay that amount until it's paid back.
So you buy a house for 100,000 quid and you pay 105,000 quid back. That'd be a 5% mortgage, right? Yeah.
Well, why not?
Yeah, and that'd be acceptable, absolutely acceptable, wouldn't it? Right, this is what we need to do. We need to give these people outs. We can't be like, you know, just fighting against them. We need to give them an opportunity to surrender and say, oh, all right, look, we know game's up. So you know, this is what we need. We need ideas to move forward rather than to just you know, hang people from lampposts, which is where I can see it's going to end up.
Well, someone said to me, and I don't know whether he was joking or, you know, well, I don't think he was joking, to be honest. He said, you look at what happened in South Africa, look what's happened in America, where they've taken these companies to task and they've won, is because when the judge goes out and he goes home, there's no protection for him. So if he screws someone over, he's liable to get, his curtains. So he's got to think about, am I going to be honest in this court? Or am I going to be, the guys that are paying me the big bucks?
Yeah, exactly.
So, this is the only reason that they're winning in these countries is because the judges have got to go home. And the judges where we are secure because nothing could be done to them. When we stood up in court and we called a judge, Chief Master Marsh, a crook, a thief, and a dishonest person. And I stand by all those remarks. He did absolutely nothing. Now, if he really had the real court's jurisdiction and he knew he was acting honestly, he would have done something about it. But he couldn't because he knew he was being dishonest. And that is why they will never, ever allow any of these cases to go before a jury. When we broke back into our house, we were praying. We were arrested for criminal damage, burglary, trespass, and aggravated assault. We were praying that they were going to charge us, me and 3 other people, so we could have a trial by jury.
No
and
chance.
They realised that is what we were going to be going for. There was absolutely no way in the world they were going to allow anything to be done.
Andy, your mic's off again, mate.
Thanks, Jason. Isn't that pretty much the same as happened to Tom Crawford recently? When he took his house back, okay, I've committed burglary, and all they wanted to do was charge him with a misdemeanor.
But I mean, it sounds really callous, but I mean, I haven't spoken to Tom for quite a while. Why he hasn't pursued his thing, because he had a judge, so I'm led to believe, in the Crown Court turn around and say, I want the warrant. Bring the warrant into court.
Yeah.
And then the next day the CPS turn around and say there is no warrant.
Yeah.
And then the judge turns around and says there is no warrant. I would have gone back round to that house, I don't care who was in there, and kicked them out. And say, this is we've, there's only a few of us that I know that are dealing with this, and we're too quiet. If we all banded together, and everybody that supports them banded together and started a real movement against it, you asked me what's the process we could do. That is it. All band together under one banner, one organisation, and start really chipping away at the wall, because then the wall will collapse. And they know it. But while we're all fighting amongst ourselves and not banding together, they're just picking us off one by one. If we don't know court cases that are going on so people can go and attend, and, you go in there and there's an agent for the company who doesn't know his arse from his elbow. He's got 3 pieces of paper, what the mortgage was, what the land registry says, and what you owe. And that's all they've got. They've got no right of audience. And it's about time we started using that argument. Because whatever evidence they pursue is hearsay.
And the more people we get into these courtrooms to witness these things that are going on, the more
the judges will start to wake up. When you go into a court and they have to swipe you in, and there's only you, the judge, and the agent, that is not a court of law. That is a private hearing. We need to get people into the court, sit there, take notes, and see what is going on, and then they'll start to change their attitude. Because while we're all quiet and mild and meek people, they're going to shit all over us.
Yeah, but I think what we've been doing is we've been appealing for people for so long. We've been appealing to people, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. But what is really going to happen is reality is going to creep up on all these people. And then the people that are doing the oppressing are going to then become the oppressed. And then that's when things really start to change.
Well, until people realise, once they get that notice for repossession, or that court order saying, we're going to take you to court for repossession, they've lost their house. Because believe you me, doesn't matter whether they turn around and say, oh, well, we'll give you a suspended possession order. The wheels are all in motion. Yeah. They have to repossess that house. Mm-hmm. There is no one I've ever met so far that has had a suspended possession order last for more than 5 years, because they will get your house. Make no bones about it. And anybody that's sitting here thinking, oh, they're great, I've done a deal with them, you are living in cuckoo land. Mm. Because they will be quiet for the first year, but the second and the third year, they will do a full attack. They will put charges on your statement. They will put... I've seen it. They've turned around and said, your mortgage has gone up. This is what you've got to pay. And when we wrote back to them and said, can you please show us the court order where it's gone up, or you've been to court to apply for the payments to be increased, we don't hear anymore for 6 months. And then when they think it's all died down, they'll try again. Mm. But a suspended possession order, they don't have to go back to court to get a possession of your property. Mm. And people have got to realise that is what the end game plan is, to get these properties back and sell them on and get money as quickly as possible to pay the bondholders. Because they're not making it out the money they're getting.
No, there's some seriously creative accounting going on there. And I got the point that Jason was making earlier about the people starting to realise this is coming to them, because so many people are locked into the treadmill, the hamster wheel as I call it, and they've got the blinkers on because all they can think about is paying their mortgage and getting blind drunk at a weekend, because anything else is just too painful to think about. It's too time consuming. They just haven't got time for it. But when they come knocking on your door with a repossession order, that's when it starts to dawn on people they've got to stand up or else they're going to lose their house.
Well, I tell you, why hasn't the mortgage rate gone up?
Because that would be the end.
Yeah. Bingo. Did that guy a glass?
Thank you. I've got one.
I just saw that. I'm jealous. If they put the mortgage rates up, even by 2% or 3%,
it's over.
It's finished. No, people can't afford it. They're not making. The industry I'm even in, haven't had a pay rise for 10 years. the money's exactly the same. So even if it goes up 1% or 1.5%, where's that money coming from? Oh, I've got to cut the electricity down, or I've got to cut the shopping down, or sod it, we can't use the car. So it's going to be disaster. And they know it. If you listen to some of their statements, they admit it. If they put the mortgage rates up, that's it. It's over.
Done, yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
You know, no, people aren't going to afford it.
No.
So
Absolutely not.
I think the writing's on the wall, and it's only now a matter of time.
And I hope that's my first absolutely as well.
Well, I'm sorry to say there's a lot of young families that are going to, I mean, especially in the London area, you know, the prices have gone through the roofs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people are really living on the breadline. So if that goes up 0.5% or 1%, it's game over.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with all these repossessed properties?
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, I haven't looked, but I would like to see where the main influx of repossessed properties is.
Well, I'll tell you what will happen. If they put the interest rates up, what will happen is there'll be a huge amount of repossessed properties, and then there'll be a huge amount of squatters, because, you know, that's generally what people do, is they try to survive.
Well, the point is, I mean, where we were, they put steel shutters on, but are only held in by little pieces of wire. But we had an agent that used to drive around to see the property, because the agency that was selling it was only about half a mile or less from the property. Mm-hmm. So they used to drive in to look at it on the way home. And when we were taking all the shutters, it took us about half an hour to take the shutters off. So she's obviously called the police. And they can't do that to every property.
No.
You know, even if they got these guarded by living guardians, or whatever they call their bloody selves, you know, what they're going to do? They haven't got enough to do all the properties.
Well, everyone will become a living guardian and live in somewhere for free to make sure the squatters don't get in. And so it's a self.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many properties do you reckon? How many mortgages do you reckon there is in this country? Just a rough ballpark figure. About 30.
Let's say 30 million.
Yeah, 30 million. Now, if all their mortgages go up, these are all working class people, half of them, 20 million?
Yep.
Are not going to be able to afford their mortgages. All going to get in debt in a couple of months. So 10 million would be repossessed, say. What on earth?
And also, you're talking about 10 million repossessed houses of people who have been conditioned to become angry and violent about something that they perceive that is, you know, affecting them. So, you know, it's just stirring up this hornet's nest. I watched a lecture by Jerry Croft. I'd recommend Jerry Croft's lectures to anybody, but I saw it's called "Is America on the Brink?" and he sort of pulled out 8 or 9 different scenarios for why empires dissolve and collapse and things, and he went through them, and there was only one that America were doing really well at, and all the rest were suggesting that they were on the brink. So we're going to get to that point at some point, aren't we?
Well, I would say by the end of this year, you know, if she triggers Brexit, the financial repercussions of that is going to start. You know, we're already seeing it. Oh, the food's got to go up because of Brexit. We've not even done it yet. We've not even left anywhere. You know, we're being conditioned already about a disaster that's not even started.
Mm.
So, you get these 10 million people that are going to lose their properties, families. So we could say that'd be, say, 15 million people that have got to be rehoused. Because you can't stay in a property that's been repossessed. So where do they all go?
So who's going to guard the properties of the 10 million people that have been repossessed? You need another 10 million people, don't you, really?
Yeah. So it's just a snowball. Yeah. No one, I don't think anybody in these grey suits sitting up in Treasury or wherever has sat down and thought about any of the implications of what they're doing. They could see the bottom line that these companies are making for the directors' fees and the directors' salaries. My director resigned, Ian Bullock, to spend more time with his children. He's 55 years old. He lives a mile from the office. And he said it's a shame that he has to get up at 8 o'clock to go into the office and he doesn't get home till 6. So that's why he's going to resign and spend more time with his children. What's a crock of shit? He knows, he's seen the writing on the wall. He attended the property chamber, he attended some of the transcripts from the court hearings, and he knows that when the shit hits the fan, he's going to be swinging from a big lead balloon.
Yeah, well, you can see what's going to happen, can't you? If you've got a family of 4 or 5 that reside in a 25-bedroom mansion, and then suddenly there's loads of homeless people turn up and they're just going in there and just going to take them out, they've not got a chance, have they?
Oh, no. He lives in a £600,000 house, no mortgage, on a nice pensionable salary. So he's all right, Jack. But, these people that work in Asda's or Sainsbury's or wherever that are paying their mortgage or driving lorries or buses, they're not going to be all right. I've been there and done it and got the T-shirt.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the financial repercussions there of Brexit, and there's an interesting comment on that in the chat room from Dr. Rock, who'll be out Thursday night, 9 p.m. on Autonomous Media. And Doc says, re-Brexodus. Local building suppliers no longer have a price list because material prices are rising too fast. It's well out of order already. And as Lee says, as Karen Carpenter sang, it's only just begun.
Well, the point is, as I said to you, we've seen it already. If you watch what happens, I mean, we had it with the vegetables. Oh, there's a big flood and there's a shortage of vegetables. I got someone that lives in Spain. Mm-hmm. There was no shortage there, even though they were flooded. There was no shortage. But we are being conditioned slowly by slowly. Mm-hmm. That, let's put it this way. If she had any inkling of doing Brexit, she would have done it the day after. There's absolutely no... It was in the manifesto that David Cameron did. If I lose the vote, I'll put the Brexit out the next day. Mm-hmm. Why don't you go off and see all the 4 heads of state of Europe the next day? To tell them, oh, don't worry, we're just going to play this game, but we're not going to really do Brexit. Because I think that's what the net crunch is. I don't think it'll ever happen. But the financial repercussions for us will just keep us below par and fight us by our pockets. That's the only way they can fight us now, is by keeping us underground in monetary sense. And that's how they do it. They keep you in credit. I mean, everything you get now, you've got to get on credit. And what does credit do? Keep tabs on you. I mean, we've had it with Whippy Links. Turned around and said, you know, they use their phones and the smart TVs to watch what you're doing. Is it really that simple? I think so.
I found it astounding that the old smart tellies have made the news again, and it's like it's actually news. But I'm pretty sure it was a couple of years ago that Samsung came out quite publicly and said, don't say anything private in front of your TV set, because we'll record it and we'll send it to all sorts of people.
Oh yeah, your phones are getting so advanced now. Everything they want you to do, you do on a phone app. Why? Because they can keep a tab on you, and I don't turn my phone on. I don't have any of the apps that show your location or maps or anything like that, because that's the way they can keep a tab on you.
Yeah.
And what's it for? It's only for the powers to be that are running everything to keep you in check.
And to make sure they can milk the maximum amount of money off you.
Well, the point is, I'm in debt already, aren't I? Well, the 13 grand, they can go and take a whistle for. But I'd like them to come and pursue me for it, because that means a court hearing. And they won't want to have another court hearing.
Well, it appears they're running away from all the court hearings you're getting at the minute anyway. So, yeah.
Well, the point is, while I'm doing it on my own, they could delay it and put as many obstacles or like they've done at the moment. You know, they put a request back for information that I've got to give to them, which is another month, shall we say, by paperwork going back and forward. So they could just delay it, and hopefully, like all the cases, you give up. You know, but I'm never going to give up. You know, as I said, as they've tried already, the only way to do it is by putting me in the ground. But we're a bit wise to that. So, you know, there's other people that are in the loop. So, you know, it's a case where if they can wear you down and make you disbelieve yourself, then that's their tactics.
So how do you keep this belief in yourself? How do you keep this belief in yourself, Mike?
I know I'm right. For 7 years, no one has ever been able to come to me and say these documents are wrong, or your perception of these documents is wrong. You know, as I said to Tracy, well, there's the documents. What does full title guarantee mean? And he said, well, that's what the land registry. I said, well, no, I'm asking you. You're a judge making the judgment. What does full title guarantee mean? It means to sell with no encumbrance. That's the first piece. And then it says all rights, benefits, and interest. So all rights means you have no rights once you've sold it. You have no rights to it. Benefit means all the money that I'm paying to the mortgage company goes to the others. It's not theirs. Interest means they have no interest in it. The interest has been transferred to the bondholders. And he turned around and said, it's without merit. I said, well, I've just said to you what the things are. Tell me where I'm wrong. Not one judge that we have ever been to has been able to tell us we're wrong. Even Judge White, in the 23rd of June 2013, turned round and said to us, these arguably show that the company have sold all their rights in these mortgages. Now, if he could see it, why can't anybody else? Because as Anne McAllister says, if I rule in their favour, the whole lot collapses. Now, that is the honesty of our judiciary. You know, we've asked for a meeting with the Lord Chancellor, who's the highest guy in the court system, to go through these documents and show me where we're wrong. Because until he does so, every judge that looks at them and comes back without merit argument is a dishonest judge. Because if they can't tell you why it's without merit, then they're dishonest. And that's the problem that the general public have got. Because they'll go before the court, any court, and they'll say it's without merit or you have no defence. But they can't tell you why they've got no defence.
So how do we overcome these problems that, you know, that we keep getting told it's without merit? How do we overcome that? Do we become the claimant?
By not doing it alone. You know, they ruled the court. So if you go into court, supposing, all right, just for argument's sake, you've got a case in Chester. You go before the Chester County Court. You do a list of the judges that are sworn in by the Queen, because the Lord Chancellor has to recommend that person to the Queen. And it's the Queen that accepts or rejects that person to be a judge. Because they're all officiated by her in all intents and purposes. So we look and see whether that judge is listed to hear cases in that court. If he's not, then we go to that court, as you say, not 2 or 3 people, but 10, 12 people. Just sit at the back and say, are you entitled to hear these cases under your jurisdiction? Now, Sims, when Sims heard us, when we put those remarks to him, he just totally ignored them. And I said, well, whatever judgment you come up with will be disregarded because you're not allowed to sit in this court. And a court has got to be an open court. So you don't be swiped into a locked room. And you and the judge and an agent who has no right of audience because all his evidence, and as we had with the barrister, is hearsay evidence. He couldn't say anything. We turned to the judge and said, you can't hear his evidence. He knows nothing of the case. He had to admit that he knows nothing of the case. And the only information he had was what they faxed through to him. So he couldn't say anything. And he sat there for an hour and a half and never said a word.
Right, we've got an interesting question here in the chat room from Lee, and he's saying, why is this going to county? County can only really deal with up to £5,000 claims. Why is this not in the High Court at least?
Because if it goes to a High Court, you have the option then to have it heard before a jury.
Mm-hmm.
And what does a jury do?
Yeah, jury make their own minds up, don't they?
Bingo. It's out of their remit. They have no defence to a jury hearing. They cannot defend themselves against a jury because the same questions keep popping up. The honesty of the documents and the questioning would be brought into question.
Yeah.
And that is what they don't want. If that happens, the shit hits the fan. Mm-hmm. You know, all it needs is one case to break the wall, and that's it. The whole thing is finished.
Yeah, that's
so no one is allowed to win a case. Mm-hmm. You've got to really put the wall in their corner, because if you don't do it, then you're buggered. You know, we've done the Land Registration Act, Section 23, Section 57, and Section 83. Mm-hmm. It's their own act. We waited about a month, and then we're told that there's a consultation paper being brought out by the Land Registry to reverse, because of fraud, all the questions that we've just done. Who's frauding who? We're not.
Unreal, absolutely unreal. We've now got to the last 10 minutes of the show, Mike, and we need to finish on time because we've got happy hour coming after us. So we've got about 8 minutes. So if there's anything that you've missed that you'd like to cover quickly towards the end of the show, or any points that you've not made that you'd like to make, feel free, Mike.
There is one thing that I want to plug here. There's a new Facebook page, Securitisation of Mortgages, that we've now started up. And we're trying now to get people involved in it a lot better. So that's the Facebook page, Securitisation of Mortgages. We will be holding a meeting, if people are interested, in either the end of April, beginning of May, in the Bedfordshire area. And we will go through all these documents and other people's documents so they fully understand, so they have some arguments when they do go to court. Because, believe you me, at the end of this year, we are going to see the shit hitting the fan big time. And I think, there's going to be a lot more repossessions when, people start losing their homes big time. Then we are really going to be in trouble. And there's no one to defend us. No solicitor will defend a repossession claim because he'll never work again. And who gives him the most work? Mortgage companies, not us. We're the one client. So, just don't think a solicitor's going to help you, because their first remit, and they swear allegiance to, is the court. When they become a solicitor, that's where they swear their allegiance to.
Yeah, they become an officer of the court, don't they?
Yeah. So, he's going to... I'll pretend, I'll fight your case to the end of the earth. And in the meantime, there's skullduggery going on between the parties. And you've paid your money, and you take your choices, I'm afraid. And they ain't going to give you anything.
Not much of a choice, is it?
There's not. No, there's not. We've asked barristers and we've asked solicitors, and we've got nowhere with them. There's a whole ball game against people. As soon as you mention you're repossessed, or you're having your house repossessed, you're not going to get anything. You're going to get no help at all, and that's the biggest shame of it, because and that's what puts people off, is the stigma and the shame that goes with it. But believe you me, everybody is only 1 month away from repossession. So while they pay that month, they're all right for that month. But come the next month, it gets tighter and tighter. That's when we'll see the downclift.
But the 90 days is the main thing, because that's when they can cash in the insurance policy.
Oh, that's already started. As soon as you're 1 month late, they're already on notice. So you'll get late payment fees, you'll get agent fees, and you'll get everything else added to it. So the fee goes up at the end of the month. So where you think your mortgage is 800 quid, you're now 900 quid, where you've got the late payment fees, agency collection fees, and everything else that goes with it. So I don't think you are quite with it. You are sort of like on a losing streak straight away.
Yeah.
So,
it's certainly been food for thought tonight, hasn't it? It's there's certainly been again. This is on like on Raconteurs 2 last night with Aid and Paul Webster. We had some really good information. We've had the same tonight, haven't we, Andy?
Yeah, we've had some cracking information from Mike. It's always good to hear from people who are out there fighting the battles on the front lines. And while you haven't got a big gold star and a certificate yet, Mike, you seem to certainly be heading in the right direction. And I hope that you manage to get the support that you need to achieve your successes.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's only people like myself and Tom and, one or two others that I keep chipping away at the wall.
Growing in numbers, though, aren't you? Growing in numbers.
We are, but see, the point is, I don't know whether it's the stigma that's attached to anybody that says, "Oh, I've got my house up, for repossession," or I've got a suspended possession order. Seems to be a stigma to it, and people have got to get over that, because
they've got to break that conditioning, haven't they? That conditioning they've been given throughout their lives, that to be in debt or to have any sort of debt is something to be ashamed of, and it's not. I mean, myself, like how much? Well, I've got about 100,000 quid's worth of debt hanging over me. I don't care. It don't matter to me. It's nothing.
The point is, how does that debt start? It's like you get your house repossessed. Now, it's gone very quiet on this front that they put out that they can come and chase you for 12 years for a mortgage repossession or this. Well, as I said to you, my house was 225. They sold it for 285. So where's the 60 grand gone?
Mm.
And yet they still want 13,000 as well. So we're talking now a 73,000. It's all a big scam, and people have got to realise that they are being scammed.
And I think that the more shows that we put out like this, and the more people we speak to, like you, and I don't want to blow smoke up your arse. I'm not Richie Allen, like you or Tom Crawford or anybody or Guy Taylor, anybody that's in that situation. We realise that there's more and more people out there, more and more good people with great knowledge who are challenging this sort of thing. And really making a difference, because we all know about it. And I was myself outside Tom Crawford's court hearing on May the 1st a couple of years ago, and I saw the amount of people that were there at that particular point in time. So it must be spreading. And I think we'd just like to say thank you for coming along tonight.
That's all right. It's no problem. No problem.
Mike, we'd love to have you back at any point, don't we say, Andy? And you wrap up like you usually do.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back when you've got some more news, Mike. We'll be handing over shortly to Tina and Not Dr. Tamara for happy hour. But before we go, I'll just let you know that we'll be back same time next week, 8 p.m, with Brian Porter all the way from Canada. So I hope Brian can make it this time. We didn't manage to hook up last time. We'll be followed by Tina and Not Dr. Tamara, as I said. And then tomorrow night, Thursday, we've got Dr. Rock, and always a great show from the doc. And then Friday evening, we've got Psychonautilus from Freeman Jack, and you never know, we might be getting someone playing some tunes after that. Windows on the World Sunday, and then we're back round to Monday, where we've got Aid with Raconteurs 2. I'm not sure who Aid's got on next week. We're working on that right now. But sure it'll be a cracking show. And then we've got Happy Hour Extra with Tina and Not Dr. Tamara. So that'll be a follow-up from tonight's show. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening, because